for another quiz. Lucky you. And this time I kind of have a theme of one I've followed in the past, but this is a little different bent on the mobile phones. I like the quizzes where they have a little history, a little security, so you get a little, I guess, insight into where we've been and maybe where we're going. I guess that's the intent. But anyway, so we'll start off with the first question. There's only 3. So just to test your historical knowledge. In what year was the very first handheld mobile phone? So this is what is considered a handheld mobile phone. What year? So the choices, you don't have to come up with choices. I'll give you choices. 1948. Okay. Yeah, so 1948, 1985, 1973, or 1990. So John, which one?
So it's a handheld mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean it doesn't have a base? It's all self-contained unit?
Correct.
So what was the second option there?
1985. So 48, 85, 73, and 90.
All right, I'll go with 85, although I feel like 1948, they might have had something during World War II as a little radio handset, but I don't know if that counts. So well, go on. I'll let Jim guess. I'm going to go with 85.
What do you think, Jim?
I think I'm going to go with 85 as well.
You're really close, because that's really 85, 84 is where that's really the practical mobile phone was invented, where they actually started seeing them. But it is 73. Okay. It is 73, and that's a gentleman by the name of Martin Cooper, who worked for Motorola, made the first phone call to his counterpart at Bell Labs, who was Dr. Engel, to say, hey, I've done this, and that was in 73. So, but I mean, it did take another decade basically to make that a commercial product.
Nice.
I almost went with 73, but oh well.
You came this close. And 48, they did have mobile phones in 48, but like you were thinking, John, but they weren't handheld. That's
right. They're like a radio, really, I guess, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So a little sneaky there, but you're right. So here's another historical one, and it kind of thinks you back to, to some of the messages and the stories we've had before. So what was the content of the first SMS message? So the first SMS mobile message, text message, you're going to think of text, which occurred in 1992, was the first official SMS. So here's the options you have. Come here, I need you, which probably sounds very familiar. Merry Christmas. Look what I have done, or please call me. So Jim, I'll hit you up first. Which of those do you think was the first SMS message?
I think it would be appropriate if it was "Come here, I need you," just to echo the Alexander Graham Bell thing. But I'm going to guess "Merry Christmas."
Okay, Jim, or excuse me, John.
So I am going to go with "Come Here, I Need You," only because even before you read the choices, that was what came to my mind immediately, even though I have no knowledge of whether it is or not. But I thought maybe someone was trying to be clever, and that's why they did that.
Well, they were even more clever, because Jim got it right. It's Merry Christmas. It was the very first one. So that was an interesting one. If you look at the history of that, it's kind of interesting. It was in December. It wasn't sent, of course, and so this engineer for what's called the SEMA group, which was out of France, actually, I believe is where he was based at, to his colleague Richard Jarvis in 1992 to basically say, hey, I've done this. Now he sent it actually from a personal computer to the phone as he originated it, but so it wasn't handset to handset. But it was the first what's called, what we would call SMS.
All right.
So, okay. So now the last question is now we're going to venture into a little bit more security related topic. So the very first true mobile malware. So think about mobile malware. Challenge a little history and memory here, which was actually, I'll give you the name, was Kabir in 2004, CABIR, 2004. Spread through what technology? So how did it spread? Was it Bluetooth, SMS, web browsing, or a telephone call? Who wants to go first?
Wow. Well, I'm going to rule Bluetooth out.
Yeah.
Just because that just doesn't, it sounds like, I don't even know, well, I guess it was around in 2004, but it just doesn't feel right to me. And a telephone, how would it go through a telephone call? I don't remember Kabir, but I'm going to go, I mean, the obvious choice would be SMS, I think, although web might be one. All right, I'm going to switch. I'm going to go with web, a web-based exploit mechanism somehow.
I'm trying to remember how sophisticated the browsers were in 2004. I think I'm going to go with SMS.
Okay. This one's tricky, and neither one of you is correct.
Boy, I struck out this time.
Yeah. Well, and the challenge here is, of course, is, one of the things you think about is how much web browsing did we do from phones, right, back in 2004? More than we, probably remember, but I don't remember 2004 very well at all. But, it was actually Bluetooth. And the phones that were infected were Symbian phones. If you remember the Symbian OS, back when.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was Kabir, and it would actually send this little message, and it would put a message Caribe, or C-A-R-I-B-E, excuse me, C-A-R-I-B-E. Caribe. I don't know how to pronounce it. And so they would put that on the phone's display, and it would turn that on. Every time the phone was turned on, that's what it would show. And you were just kind of stuck. And then it spreads to phones using Bluetooth. So it's an interesting thing. A lot of us don't remember Symbian. I mean, very little, right? Didn't survive, obviously. But it's interesting. You think about where we've come from. That still, to me, this is the reason I picked this. It's still a mechanism for infection. It's a vector that we still see today. And so we haven't. I guess we haven't learned enough.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really surprised it was Bluetooth, but I do remember Symbian. I just don't remember that. And I think Symbian had a lot of, it was like a kind of vulnerable operating system, I think, on mobile devices back in the day, back then. From what I recall, I just, I had really analyzed a lot of that malware back then. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I remember Symbian too, but I, just like you, I kind of scratched Bluetooth off there right from the start, because I didn't remember there was all that much Bluetooth, in use in,
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Cool.
Good job. I think Jim got one right today, so that's.
Yeah, Jim beat me.
No prize, just go, clap all around. Good job.
Thanks, John. That was really cool. I love the Markley quiz.